Hi, how are you? Kate French here. Just thought I would jump on live this Friday afternoon or Friday morning, I think it might still be, and check in and see how things have been going for you, and share just a couple of little thoughts that have been bouncing around in my head. I actually had this situation this morning as I was coming back from the gym. I heard the 7 o'clock news. And I heard them talking about, oh, there's my cat trying to meow to come in. I heard them talking about how the situation with, I don't know if you're aware of it, when the Australian military, I think, reneged on a deal that they had with the French, I think it was. And the French were very upset because there was big money, big plans, and then all of a sudden Australia reneged and decided to go with another country. I think they decided to go with America or something like that. So that was some months ago, and I remember hearing a bit about it, didn't know much about it, but it was one of the headlines of the news. So this morning, they had somebody high up, they had like a little clip from on the radio about how he was trying to mend relations with France and how they were, talking about that event and how unfortunate it was and how they wanted to move forward. So as I was listening, there was a really short grab and it was someone talking very properly and was using all these big words, and it basically was, it got me thinking. It didn't say we stuffed up, we offended France in a big way, we did the wrong thing, and now we have to make amends. Now we have to try and make it up to you. Now we have to earn your trust again, things like that. And I was thinking just how on this huge stage, this huge arena, it was a huge deal in so many parts of the world, and in terms of leaders of countries and things like that, it's huge kind of diplomacy errors and things that were made because of the decisions that had been made to go back on that deal that they had made. And I was just thinking about the kind of stiff language that was used, the way they described basically that Australia is going to need to grovel and apologise or make up for it or something like that. But it wasn't said clearly. It was so rambly and it was so not to the point that I, had to decipher, and I knew what the story was prior, that I thought, if adults skilled in language are having trouble saying exactly what happened and don't have the words, we made a mistake, we did the wrong thing, and actually come out and say that, I kind of thought, isn't it any wonder that if we're modelling this, they're our world leaders, they're modelling that, and they don't talk directly, they don't talk plainly in any way so that normal people can kind of understand. And I suppose, and lots of times, again, do we ever very often hear politicians apologise or take responsibility when things go wrong? Not very often. And I was just sort of thinking, like, why don't they just say what they mean? Say it clearly. And then I was thinking, if that's again our model, if that's what we're hearing in the public world and the public eye, no wonder, I suppose, it makes it more difficult, or there's this culture of not saying what you mean, not being direct, not having language that is really clear and really simple. And that kind of filters down, I think, in terms of being able to directly say to people, I don't like that, or that hurt my feelings, or I stuffed up, I apologise, what can I do to make it up to you? Being really clear and direct, I just don't think that happens as much as it should. And I think it starts at the very, very top. Like I said, hearing that news this morning, I was just like, just say they stuffed up, and now they have to make amends somehow. But that's not what he was saying. It was very, very rambly. I can't remember his exact words, but it was, had to read between the lines to know that that's that's what they were meaning. We're going to have to mend relations, and it wasn't even as direct as that, actually. So it was really interesting, and I just thought about how do we get caught in that trap ourselves in terms of saying what we mean, and how difficult sometimes that can be. And again, how, you know, we as adults perhaps model that sometimes with our kids. Or do we have difficult hearing direct language? And is there this anxiety about upsetting people, or anxiety about not saying it in the right way, whatever that means? And so often we either say it in a really clumsy way, or we don't say it at all. And I think that's even worse, way, way worse, to be so anxious about getting the words wrong or saying it wrongly, whatever that means, that we don't talk about it at all. We don't maybe take responsibility for actions, or we don't ask questions about things as well. So just kind of maybe, have a think about how we really need to be having more conversations, even difficult conversations, things that we're not quite sure how to say. But if we want to say something, just say it. Please speak plainly. I think it's better to say it, and then people might go, what do you mean? Or I'm not sure, or did you mean that? And then you can continue to have more conversations. So that goes for so many kinds of conversations. So many parents, I think, sometimes don't know how to have conversations with kids about tricky things, or don't know where to start, you know, with having conversations about awkward things, or whatever it might be. So if you've ever found yourself in that situation, just start the conversation. There's no harm in being direct. There's no harm in just asking a question. You're like, this might sound really strange, but has this ever happened for you? Or what do you think about this? Or I heard this the other day. Has that happened to you at all? And yeah, I mean, just taking that leap of faith that having a conversation is important than not having it at all. And you know, sometimes we get so caught up with how people might react, might respond, that we stop ourselves from having those conversations. So I absolutely encourage you to do that. If it's with a friend, if it's with a partner, if it's with a young person, have those conversations. And that also then got me thinking about, we've got Are You OK Day coming up next week, next Thursday. And again, that's about having conversations, having difficult conversations sometimes, having awkward conversations sometimes. Hey, Marianne, how are you? Nice to see you here. And just, beginning and having those conversations and touching base with people about whatever it might be, about whether you've got concerns or you're worried or that kind of thing. So again, Are You OK Day is about checking in with people and having meaningful conversations about mental health, or how people seem to be travelling. And we don't want to just do that on a one day of the year, a national kind of highlight event day, even though that's fantastic to have that in our society. I miss you too, thank you. But yeah, it is important to continue having those conversations, continue having just connections with people, so that they know that we're thinking of them, and things like that. So I don't know whether your school, your organisation is doing anything for it, but you don't need to wait for those days. Touching base with people, touching base with your kids, touching base with a friend you haven't seen for a while. Definitely be thinking about how you can play your role in connecting and reaching out to people, because sometimes we, again, especially if it's been a long time between seeing people, worry that it's been too long, or worry that they may not want to hear from us because they haven't reached out to us. Again, anxiety sometimes gets in our heads and stops us from doing things that is important and can have really positive repercussions for our lives. So really look to see whether that anxiety is serving you or whether it's stopping you, and certainly reaching out and connecting is a really helpful thing to do. I think most of the time it ends up being a really positive experience. So I encourage you to do that if there's people you haven't reached out to in a little while. Most of the time it's because people are just heads down, bum up, so busy, so hectic, and they again are just trying to get through life, get through the day sometimes. So reaching out and having connections can be just another thing that they don't have time for, or we kind of overlook or minimize the importance of it. But certainly people love to know that they're being thought of, and just touching base and seeing how they're traveling. So yeah, so I just wanted to chat just a little bit about a couple of those things. So about not letting worries about how conversations are going to turn out to stop you from having some of those conversations, and definitely reaching out to people who you may think aren't thinking of you, or may not even be sure if they want to hear from you. But certainly I'd encourage you to do that if it's been a little while since you've done that, or you've been thinking about someone that you wanted to touch base with. So that's just my couple of little ideas that I had floating around in my head that I wanted to share with you this morning. I also finished up doing our Glimmer group, which was really, really fantastic. And I'm in the process of putting together kind of a similar coaching program to what I've run with Spectrum Steps and Glimmer, so a parent-focused coaching program, but all around anxiety, and all around some of the content in my Anxiety Essentials sort of booklet that I've got. So I'm going to unpack that and turn that into something that I can really take parents through in a more detailed kind of way. And I'm having a bit of a round table next Thursday night. So if you're on my mailing list, you'll get an invitation to be a part of that. So I'll share a little bit of information and things that I've been kind of hearing about recently, but really I'd love to hear from you and share what are your biggest challenges around anxiety at the moment. Where do you think, I suppose, schools, if school system is something that you're part of, really need to understand about supporting neurodivergent kids with anxiety. And yeah, I invite you to come and have a chat with me. It's for free, and I'll send you a Zoom link. I think in Australia it's going to be about 8 o'clock, I think in the evening, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening. And I think in the UK that'll be about 11 in the morning. So if you're in either of those two time zones, I hope you'll be able to join me. So keep your eye on your email for that invitation, and I'll share a little bit more about that over the week. So for this afternoon, I've also got creation of one of my All the Gems education sessions that I'm going to be recording. So I've got that on this afternoon. And then I'm doing something new later on this afternoon. Decided I'm going to a boxing class. So I've got no idea what that's going to be like. I don't know whether I'm actually wearing gloves or whether it's just pretending to box at things. I've got no idea. But I'm in a challenge at the moment. So I'm going to go along with my team and have a go at doing that. So pushing through my own comfort levels of doing something new. So I hope your Friday afternoon is going wonderful. If this is helpful, or you think other people might find some of my content helpful, I always put these videos up on my YouTube channel, then share them with people, and hopefully you'll get something useful out of it. So take care, and I will catch you next Friday for a bit of a live. But also, if you wanted to jump on and join me for that roundtable discussion, that'll be next Thursday evening. For anybody who's, maybe got some concerns, or they've got some challenges, or they're looking for extra support, I'm really keen to hear what would be the key things so that I can design that parent coaching program specifically to meet your needs. So I hope I get to catch up with you then. But until then, take care, and I'll talk to you soon. See you later.